What is up, guys? Hello, I'm Mr. Regular. Welcome. I want to talk about this deck. This is very important that we talk about this deck, man. So yesterday was the Pocket Mads. Well, I don't know when you watch this. Guys, do yourself a favor. If you're serious about ranked, hit the notification bell. So as soon as I upload a video, you're notified and you're like, oh, okay, I can play this deck today. Because what is relevant today might not be relevant tomorrow. That's the nature of ranked. How the meta constantly evolves. But I saw this deck and it was doing really well. Shout out to the guy who created this. And I think this is the best Tapu Koko deck. Period. Why is Tapu Koko so powerful at the moment? Well, because the strongest deck right now is Suicune. And the nature of how Suicune works is the more bench Pokemon you put down, or it has down, the higher its damage goes, and the more lethal it becomes. If you've got one Pokemon that's just soloing the entire thing, Tapu Koko just cleans. It wins. Anyway, so what does this deck look like? So it runs 2 red cards, 2 Cyruses, 2 Oricorios, and you might be thinking, why 2 Oricorios if this is a Tapu Koko deck? Just trust me, bro. Everything in this deck has its place. And it took me a bit of a while to actually play around with it and figure out how best to play this deck. And you might think, oh, it's just, you just go. There's a bit of strategy that you need. There's some rules that I've discovered that I'm going to share with you guys right now. I basically picked it up yesterday and took it to the top 100 Masterball rank and was just winning very easily. That being said, I did like a recording session and I actually posted it up on my channel. It's just kind of very different to this video, to me yapping and just playing, and I just kind of talk about how the deck runs and some of the decisions, more about what I'm thinking at the time, and just life, just talking about life and listening to beats and stuff. So if you're into that, if you want a more relaxed type video, head on to that one over there. And yeah, otherwise what we do here is we play 3 games. We play 3 games, win or lose, we post it. But hopefully I get to, in those games, discuss the way on how to play the deck. And also you get to see what decks other people are playing. That's another thing that I think a lot of people really need to find out for the day, is like, what decks should I be looking out for? And then we can talk about the meta as we discover it together. Alright guys, but other than that, we can just jump into it. I think a few things that we need to just talk about is on the deck. For example, the Giant Cape. When does Giant Cape come in a clutch? Well, a Giratina does 130 damage. Giant Cape can help survive that impact. Giant Cape can also help Oricorio survive a Greninja hit. Rocky Helmet is really important on Tapu Koko. If it's about to get hit by 140 HP Suicune, it goes down to 120. It can return KO now because it's now in damage range. Of course, if that Suicune isn't got a Giant Cape itself. Silver is really, really important. Like the think about this. You're going first, right? You play your red card, one of your red cards, and then you silver him. So their hand gets reduced down to 3. And then you look into their hand so you can see what they have, and then you take out one of their cards. So now they start the game with 2 cards. That's crazy. That's broken. Also really helpful against like Erider, if you want to take out an Erider. The Giovanni is like really clutch, and it's way more clutch than red, so don't take in red. The Giovanni helps with 1-hit KOing Greninja with your Tapu Koko. It can also 1-hit help elevate your 50 damage from Oricorio to 60 damage with KO's EVs and a lot of other 60 HP basic Pokemon. It can also a baby Pokemon, right, that doesn't have a weakness. Tapu Koko's 20 damage goes up to 30, which can KO it. 2 Cyruses is so important. It feels so good to have the 2 Cyruses. And the Sabrina, like the time that you're gonna win with Sabrina Cyrus combo is it's so important to have that exact lineup. 2 Cyruses and a Sabrina. Don't play Repel. I actually tried to convince myself that Repel might be better, but Sabrina is just more reliable. Alright, so Pokemon Center Lady also just feels really, really strong. I don't think I would take it out for anything else. The Potion and the Pokemon Center Lady just feel good, like to help you sustain your Tapu Koko from Darkrai pings or Greninja pings, whatever the case is. It just feels good. So with that all being said, X-Speed of course can help you correct an Oricorio into Tapu Koko. This deck is designed to go fast, be aggressive, and just kind of just like make your opponent's life a hell. With the red cards, just hitting it like super effectively and it being able to ramp itself. So with that all being said, let's play the 3 games, let's see what happens. And if you're new here, we try to stay up to date. I try to share decks and bring as much value as I can to you guys. And yeah, man, leave a like, leave a comment, I reply to everything. Let's go, 3 games. So let's just talk about the meta. It's been interesting over the weekend. Seagun posted a Charizard video, and the next thing is the entire ladder was full of Charizard, and then people started correcting it. Oricorio started getting ticked in, and then it changed. I was farming with Flareon. I'll share my Flareon deck after this. Well, I guess you can go look at the Flareon deck, but I ticked in a Mars, which felt really, really good against a lot of the lineup that I was playing against at the time. But then again it corrected, and then we eventually got back into Suicune. And it's funny because Mondays are like that, you know. This is obviously the Exeggutor list that is countering to the that is a counter to Suicune. So here I know that they play a whole bunch of rare cards, but so I'm actually just gonna play mine now. Yeah, because I was thinking about maybe holding onto it, but there really is not, like, there's no need for that. And it's the same thing with the Rocky Helmet. There's no need for me to hold it in my hand. Against this deck, which I think is a meme deck, you're flipping a coin in ranked. What are you doing with your life? Are you mentally challenged, bro? That you have to go and flip a coin? Like, you're a psycho. You're a psycho person. It's like every time you lose to this deck, you just go, how did I lose this deck? How did I lose to this deck? Hopefully, next turn you get KO'd unless you evolve. Please, don't evolve. Let me just win. Too good to be true. They still have to flick a coin. And I'm gonna be so annoyed if they actually just... Dude. What is this deck? Let's switch into our Tapu Koko, because it ultimately doesn't make much of a difference what we do here. Hitting it for 50 damage versus 110 damage in terms of... Actually, it might have been better to... But yeah, we used the X-Speed there to keep that energy on Oricorio. You're so dumb. I hate this deck, bro. Like, you cannot be... There's a guy, right? There's a guy in the top 100 who only plays this deck. And I just think, like I've played against him a lot of times, right? And I just think to myself, you must be reeling, because there's been times where, like, he cannot flick hits. He cannot flick hits. He's going tails, and then he watches my Giratina build up in the background or something, and then just loses. Like, and then you'll play the same deck again, and then again, and again, and again. Like, you're insane. You're an insane person. Okay. Well done. Cool, that's a game, I guess. That is a game. We're just gonna go next. I have nothing else to say. That you're gonna play against Exeggutors that are gonna flick heads, or find wills in that case. So I decided to play the first game, and it's an Exeggutor which actually tells me a few things. And I mean the Alolan and Exeggutor, which is like kind of a meta deck. There's a guy in the top 100 who just plays that deck. I think you're a psychopath if you do, but nevertheless, that tells me that it's still a Suicune meta. It's either Suicune or a Guzzlord meta, because that's what that deck is good against, essentially. And I guess Dark Ray Giratina. But irrespective, let's go and play a proper game, hopefully. Like, just talking about the meta again, it's the Monday after a big tournament, and typically what happens is people try to look at their data and try and adjust. And what was interesting was even seeing it last night in the recording that I did, we were seeing interesting decks that you typically just do not see. Like, oh, going first again, okay. All right, at least we got our start. So one thing I can talk about right away is, when do you use red card? Now, there are times where red card just feels so strong playing early, and there's times where it just feels so strong playing second. But here we can obviously we don't need to professor research because we've got all the basics in our hand. But here we can research. If we find our second red card, it's a clear decision to red card now. But I like to actually wait until they play a Froakie and then red card. Like, I could yeah, maybe just put the Rocky Helmet down here now. But I could red card now, and typically that is the rule. When in doubt, red card first turn, always. But I'm going to actually play a bit of a gamble, wait for them to play a research, wait for them to put down a Froakie. Like, we're not in much of a risk. We've got Tapu Koko up. They're not going to do enough damage to actually, like, effectively hit me. So now we're getting max value off our red card now. We're getting max value. And I'm wondering, no, there's no point in Sabrina-ing now. But now we just red carded 6 cards and his Professor away. And then next turn we're going to be able to KO the... We're going to be able to KO the Suicune. And this is like, the game's pretty much over unless they've got healing. Even if they got healing and they hit me, I've got the Rocky Helmet on, which basically brings down the HP of this guy down to 120, which still puts him in KO range. Unless he has a cape. So, one thing we can do now is just kind of take... Well, he does 20 damage. It's like, does nothing to me. we can Sabrina and take... There's the other red card. Okay, so he's figured out that he's gonna lose. Like, this is the strength of this deck. It goes fast, it goes hard, and it just counters Suicune. Like, if you're playing against enough Suicunes, you're gonna have a positive win rate, and you're gonna climb. You're gonna climb. And it's as simple as that. Red card really felt good there. Holding onto the red card felt good there. But again, like, when do you play red card? Right? Typically, we run 2 in this deck for a reason. So to play the red card first is not wrong. However, I personally think there's more value in holding on to it until you see the Froakie. But then it could have gone really bad. They could have gone Professor Research, Pokeball, and then they could have got a full bench, and then they're still down to 3 cards. And then what's the point of red carding? Then your red card becomes useless, you know, for the rest of the game. But anyways, let's go to game 2. I'm not going to count that first game. Dude, what was that first game? Alright guys, game 2. So hopefully we can catch the same player in top 100. This happened yesterday in my other video, where you just queue up, and it happens a lot in top 100, fair enough, like you play against the same person. This guy says he's collecting water types. Well, so am I, baby. I'm collecting your booty. I'm collecting your points, bro. It's weird. It's weird. I made it weird. But this deck feels fun. It feels so strong, man. Just the way it can debilitate. Oh, we're going second for once. That's nice. Hopefully we get the Koko start. We do. So what fire decks are being run at the moment? Flareon and actually Charizard. But irrespective, irrespective, we're still gonna go because of the being said. Yeah, because Koko is just so good on curve. And Giovanni, listen, why do we run Giovanni? Because even though babies do not have weaknesses, if I use Giovanni, this 20 becomes 30 and I can take a KO immediately. So this tells me that they're playing against, I'm playing against a Flareon deck. So they're not going to have enough time to actually charge a Flareon. Because they charge one now, I take the KO, and they're still not going to actually have enough. Yeah, they're not going to have enough energy to move in with a Flareon. They've got nothing in their discard pile either. So we're getting max value here. We do not want to place down our, we want to put on a cape because that puts us above any sort of breakpoint damage unless they have a red. We can Giovanni to take the KO here. We do not want to put down an Oricorio yet. Because they can repel us, they can Sabrina us. Both of those cards are run in this deck, and then we lose that energy momentum. We can't hit for 90 next turn. So the next turn when we put on our other energy, we can put down an Oricorio. So initially I did think this might be a Charizard deck, although I feel as though that meta was like very momentary. If they don't have an evolution, we just straight up win. They've got a lot of cards in their hand. They've drawn both researchers. Okay. So I assume they've got red. I'd love to draw into my red card. That would be amazing. But irrespective, we're going to hit for 90. Okay, let's just look into their hand and see if they've got a silver. I mean, if they've got a red. They've got two reds. That's scary. So here we can... I wonder if we should just go up and start hitting. Like, we just saw their hand, right? They've got a whole bunch of Flareons, they've got red, so there's really no need for us to, like, get hit in the face for 150 damage. We can just take our time here. They do have the genetic Apex Flareon, which is kind of scary, but next turn we're going to be able to hit for 50, we're going to be able to hit for 50, unless he retreats. Interesting. We need to thin out our hand. I'd love to find my red card. We are like, it's not like we're bricking, but like, you know, 11 cards in our deck. So what is smart, words. Be smart, he retreats now, you'll have an energy on the Flareon. Now, why is it important? When you're playing a Flareon deck, it is always important that you keep an energy on your Flareon. They realized they're not gonna get their, they didn't have an EV. I don't think they had an EV in their hand. They realized they're not gonna be able to get up in time, and I'm just gonna be able to attack with Oricorio. Having two Oricorios is a win condition in and of itself. If you have two Oricorios on the bench, it's a win condition against a high EX, like, it's a win condition against a Charizard EX. It's a win condition against a Flareon EX. Yeah. So you'll find that a lot of these games are very, very quick like this. They're over. But that's the nature of this deck. Fast, aggressive, right? There's some decisions that you need to make, but every card feels good. Every card has its place. Like there we found the Giant Cape. Why did we play the Giant Cape? Because it's certain breakpoint HPs it can survive. You know, we played Silver to try see if what they have and to get rid of a red. If they only had one red, I would have hit for the 90, and we would have been able to survive. And then, you know, charge up an Oricorio, come in with it later. Because they don't play Cyrus, they only play Sabrinas and Repels. By the way, if you want to look at my Flareon list, here is mine. I play it with 2 genetic Apex Flareons and a Sabrina. Like, there is conversation to be had if this Sabrina should be changed for Repel, because you can Repel and Red at the same time. Although my specific combination runs 2 genetic Apex Flareons, so the strategy is a little bit different. It's not a Turbo Flareon deck. My deck is more about setting up. So it goes 1-1-2 prize mapping, which means you lose a baby, you lose the genetic Apex Flareon, and then you follow up with the final Flareon. I have done a video on that before. If you want to check it out, here's the video, and let's go to our third game.